our policy is crystal clear. From this point, any country that formally makes a demand for reparations from this country, a reformed government, if we win the next general election, will immediately halt visa issuances to that country. And we've already made clear that we would end foreign aid too. Britain was the first major power to prohibit slavery, and it cost Britain thousands of sailors. Britain spent the modern equivalent of billions of pounds on enforcing that slave trade, the prohibition on slavery. So I think Britain actually deserves a lot of credit for that.
I spent my youth in Jamaica, and the culture of Jamaica is an amazing and fantastic place. The wealth of this country that came from Jamaica, it was the jewel in the empire's crown, and the wealth of the City of London came from there. We owe a lot to the Jamaican people.
We can yes or a no.
No, well, it isn't a yes or a no answer. It's too simplistic. The issue has to be, how do we treat Jamaica? How do we trade with Jamaica? How do we support Jamaica? How do we invest in Jamaica? Do we recognise that we as a colonial power had a huge impact on that island? We made a great deal of money out of it. I think we owe a lot to Jamaican people.
But how do we manifest that owing?
We can owing it, we can manifest it by better trade relations with Jamaica, because we've actually cut them off quite a lot since we've been in the European Union.
Reparations.
Can we invest in Jamaica as part of a recognition of the money we made out of Jamaica in the past? I think yes, we can.
Some of you are or not aware that most of the Caribbean and African leaders have been talking about reparation. What does it mean? It means that UK and other countries like France, who enslaved Africans and the Caribbeans, should compensate them. However, it hasn't gone well with UK. Some of the politicians, especially Reform Party, who is always against migrants, are saying that any country, even Jamaicans, if they continue to talk about reparation, they will revoke their visas. Anyway, before I start, I want you to listen to this clip made by a Reform Party candidate.
Well, you have said that you want to block visas for nations that ask for slavery reparations.
Yeah.
You're basically saying you won't give visas then to huge swathes of the Caribbean and Africa. Let's just list the countries that have asked for slavery reparations: Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Antigua, Barbuda, Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad, Tobago, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. The list goes on. You think that's a feasible and operative plan?
If they
that
continue to make, if they can make, well, being thwarted by lawfare. Here's another thing people really need to understand. And I think people watching GB News do understand this. His Majesty's Parliament is sovereign. This notion that, a minister will sit there and a prime minister will sit there and just get overruled by courts. If we pass primary legislation to ensure those things happen, it will happen. You can mark my words on that. And do we again,
so you're quite happy
the last 20 years,
people coming from the Caribbean or Africa, say, for instance, if they have relatives here, you're going to say you just can't come because your country, even if you don't personally support it, supports slavery reparations?
I think you're making the exact argument about why there are outrageous demands that people watching this programme should pay them reparations.
Just to demand slavery reparations, but people might really think that it might be using a sledgehammer.
Well, then, if it's outrageous, it's about time. Do you not agree, Camilla? It's about time Britain grew a backbone. And what we're saying is, if Nigel Farage is our Prime Minister, we're not going to allow Britain to be slapped around on the world stage. By the way, number one, Keir Starmer abstained outrageously in the UN vote about this matter. Number two, over the last 20 years, and again, the Tories are in power for the majority of that, those countries you just listed who are demanding reparations, we granted those countries millions of visas and issued them £6 billion, billion with a B in foreign aid. We've had enough of British people being taken advantage of.
Some of the people that come from the Caribbean and Africa have made their lives here and are paying taxes and are embracing British values, aren't they?
In which case, they are almost certainly British citizens.
Did you just listen to that? It's not only him, but also the former Home Secretary, who was Conservative, stated that the colonies have to pay UK because the UK has tried really hard to make them who they are. And also, UK has helped them with democracy, and also UK has really helped their countries to develop. However, it did not go well with the former Prime Minister of UK, Jeremy Corbyn, who is saying that he grew up in Jamaica. Britain owes Jamaica a lot of money because without Jamaica, Britain wasn't meant to be where it is now. Because it started might be 1600, where Britain grew very rich from Jamaica's sugar economy, which relied on the forced labor of hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans. Please more about it. I'm not the one to explain to you, but otherwise, Jeremy Corbyn is really supporting reparation. He's not against it because he knows what really happened. And also he's calling others that if you don't know about history, then don't just talk. Maybe it's time to keep quiet. Also, it's time to learn history. So let's listen to former Prime Minister of UK on what he is saying about reparation. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share.
I spent my youth in Jamaica, and the culture of Jamaica is an amazing and fantastic place. The wealth of this country that came from Jamaica, it was the jewel in the empire's crown, and the wealth of the City of London came from there. We owe a lot to the Jamaican people.
We can yes or a no.
No, well, it isn't a yes or a no answer. It's too simplistic. The issue has to be, how do we treat Jamaica? How do we trade with Jamaica? How do we support Jamaica? How do we invest in Jamaica? Do we recognise that we as a colonial power had a huge impact on that island? We made a great deal of money out of it. I think we owe a lot to Jamaican people.
But how do we manifest that owing?
We can owing it, we can manifest it by better trade relations with Jamaica, because we've actually cut them off quite a lot since we've been in the European Union.
Reparations.
Can we invest in Jamaica as part of a recognition of the money we made out of Jamaica in the past? I think yes, we can.
Britain was made rich from Jamaica and other places. Britain did incredibly well out of the slave trade, and at the end of slavery in the 1830s, Wilberforce put the bill through Parliament which ended slavery. In reality, it was the uprising in Morant Bay and other places that brought the end to slavery, but slavery did end, and the slave owners were paid compensation of £20 million at the time, which was 40% of UK, British government income at that time. Mm-hmm. And that debt was finally paid off to those people in 2015. Not one slave got one halfpenny at any time. Mm-hmm. The victims got nothing. Mm-hmm. The owners got everything. Now, there's been a demand for reparations for quite a long time, but I think it's become a much more valid and real subject at the moment. The UWI and ASIL did an analysis of what the costs of reparations would be, and the figure they came up with was that the UK would owe £18 trillion to 14 countries. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there would be negotiation, debate around those figures. And then when it came up at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Conference in Samoa, our Foreign Secretary and our Prime Minister both said there was no appetite to have this discussion. 54 other heads of government mm-hmm. had said they wanted to have the discussion. Yes. But Britain somehow or other managed to veto even a debate. Well, it's not going to go away, because you look at the issues of inequality on trade, you look at the issues of indebtedness, and you look at the pain that so many families went through, ones who lost people during slavery, but those since then. I think the issue has come full circle. Now, in Britain, the debate has actually become quite live. Yes. Some universities, Glasgow University, for example, mm-hmm. have paid. Mm-hmm. The Church of England has recognised mm-hmm. that it made lots of money out of compensation and it should pay. Other institutions have done the same. And the British Museum goes through convulsions the whole time about repatriation of artefacts. Yes. They have sent a lot of stuff back, of the Benin bronzes and others, yes. but other stuff they haven't sent back. So it's a real live debate. Why hide away from it? Let's have the debate. Look at it this way.
We can even continue and debate about this issue. What do you think? Let me say something. How can these colonies start turning against us? Is it right what they are doing? So it was right to enslave us. To them, they believe that they've helped these countries. And also, they are not happy. As I said, it's not everyone, but Prime Minister of Barbados did not keep quiet. She has to reply to them and remind them what they did to our forefathers. As usual, you know, Mia Mottley doesn't back down. She has challenged them. And it's the right thing to do because maybe some of them, they don't understand about history, as she stated. Some of them, they don't care because they know that, they are fine. Their parents migrated to Britain and anyway, now they are politicians, now they are ministers, now they are being recognized as politicians. So they don't care about us Africans or Caribbeans. But it's not going to help because even us, the Caribbeans, the Africans, we've opened our eyes. And our leaders need to continue to fight. And we need to support our leaders to fight because we know what happened. We know what was taken away. We know that a lot of people died. We know that people suffered. We know that up to now, they are controlling us. That's why Mia Mottley has to remind them and tell them the truth. Don't forget to like this video. Let's listen to Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley.
Thank you very much for the question. I'm not sure that you want me to reply to things that really are asinine. And certainly the notion that we should pay the United Kingdom for oppressing us, for enslaving us, and for treating us as chattel. And that is the difference. Slavery existed before, but this was the first time that human beings were defined as chattel. And I've been very clear all along that the 1661 Slave Code of Barbados, which predated the Code Noir, which the French have just repealed less than 2 months ago, all distinguished themselves, and all of the slave laws that followed the 1661 Slave Code of Barbados, by the treatment of human beings as chattel. We're not asking for charity. We're asking to be able to ensure that justice can be done. In 1834, the British Parliament did not need to be persuaded of that fact with respect to the loss of property because we were chattel and the compensation of the slave owners of £20 million. I would like to advise that those who have not yet read sufficient to understand the history do so before making comments that really do not reflect well on them. With respect to the movement, this is a global movement now. We just came from Accra in Ghana, and as you know, the United Nations passed the resolution that Ghana brought in March of this year. We have seen Pope Leo make comments in this year of our Lord. We have seen President Macron recognize that the conversation for reparations, just as His Majesty King Charles, when he was Prince Charles at the opening of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda, stated clearly that reparations was a conversation whose time had come. I have no doubt that there are British parliamentarians who want to distract people from the domestic politics of the United Kingdom at this point in time. But the Caribbean should not be used as a prop in those circumstances. Thank you.
Do you know that UK owes 18 trillion to several countries, and 54 head of states, they've so far asked for dialogue with UK government? If you remember well, King Charles visited Rwanda in 2022 June. That was the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings. Then Prince Charles did not explicitly address repatriation or financial reparation. Instead, he delivered a speech and acknowledging personal sorrow over the transatlantic slave trade and the painful historical wrongs that shaped the Commonwealth. And saying there are other politicians out there, even individuals, who are not buying it, who believes that whatever happened has to be forgotten. We've moved forward and we need to move forward. They don't want to hear that word reparation. So what I can say is like Mia Mottley stated that so you are happy of us being tortured. People were really tortured. They were enslaved. They were denied their rights. A lot of people lost their lives, families. They splitted families. People suffered. Then today you are telling us that we need to move on. You don't move on. The wounds are still there. The more you talk about that, the more you are reminding us. This is what Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, is reminding them. She said whether they like it or not, they need to understand that that wasn't wrong. That was not right. And even she stated that she attended a summit in Ghana, and even Ghanaians, Nigerians, they are also asking for the same reparation because they know that their families suffered. They divided us. We were one, but they don't care. But why is it that some of these politicians, they are against it? Do they believe that someone can just move on just like that? What do you think? Let's listen to this clip again where someone is interviewing people on the streets and asking them what they think. It's not like what you believe. Some are in support of reparation. Some are not in support. But do they understand the history? That's the question. Because I don't think they teach them about that history. I don't think they do teach them. That's why some of these people, they are just thinking about the money. Oh, trillions. Oh, that's our taxpayers' money. But they are forgetting. They don't even know that most of this wealth in these Western countries is because of slavery. Why is it that they can just easily think that we can forget? No, it doesn't work like that. Let's listen and don't forget to like this video. What do you think?
Should black people get reparations / compensation for slavery?
I think 100%, especially if they're direct descendants of people who were slaves. I think it's something that needs to be a justice because that time in the world was horrible and what happened was horrible. 100% people should get reparations for what happened and for what happened especially to their ancestors.
People may argue that it was 500 years ago, it's all in the past. What do you think?
I disagree. You could say, oh, I gave you £500 50 years ago. Where are they? You know, how much interest is that now? You know, you can't say, oh, this was a long time ago, so it doesn't matter. People's religions are built on stuff that was a long time ago. Everything that people believe in was built on stuff that was said a long time ago. So you can't just say that, oh, it was 500 years ago, it doesn't matter anymore.
Should black people get reparations for slavery?
First, the countries who colonized Africa and black countries, and even like above Sahara, you know, Maghreb, and even India and all those countries. But let's just talk about Africa. At least those countries who stole should restitute. There is plenty of museums in the UK, in France, in Germany, Belgium. Those countries have plenty of museums with African art. And this costs a lot. But still, they make money out of it, you know? So at least this should be given back. And then, of course, with everything that has been done and it's still going on, they should definitely do something about it. There is a big, for example, there is a big company in France that is called Total. They still have factories in Africa till this day, and they're, you know, soaking the resources from Africa. So, you know, it's still going on. So they should definitely repair what they have done and what they're still doing.
Should the government pay reparations for slavery?
No.
And why?
When there are talks like this, it's boiled down to sort of, oh, white families should pay black families. I'm an Irish immigrant. At one point, my family were slaves to the British. Now, I would be paying reparations for things that were done when my family never even lived in the country. Honestly, why should we pay for the crimes?
So should white people pay reparations for slavery?
I think the question is really more so what can white people do rather than just reparations, because obviously I would say yes, but would that really benefit them? I think that's a conversation that needs to be had to then best respond to the issues.
Why do they believe that we have to pay them for oppressing us and enslaving us? That was Mia Mottley. Now you've heard that there is a mixed reaction. Some are saying that, yes, they have to pay. Some are said, no. There's no paying. Oh, these people are here. They are having good life. No, we are not having good life. It doesn't work like that. It's not what people are thinking. Up to now, for example, here in UK, people are still being asked to go back where they came from. This is happening. And you've heard what Reform Party is saying. With them, every time is about, oh, we won't allow, oh, these migrants are using our NHS. We won't allow them having council houses. We won't allow them claiming benefits. We won't allow them, but we are working hard. We've been part of growing their economy. We are part of them. There are even some of these immigrants who were born here. They are part of them. They've never even known another home apart from here. So what are you going to do with them? Recently, during the World Cup, that debate also was there trending because some of these politicians are against migrants. But what is surprising us is like, why was it that England national team has got those mixed-race, even black players? So people were asking that question that how is it working? So every time if the Caribbeans and the Africans talks about reparation, they don't like it. They don't like that term. So what do you think, guys? Do you think we have to move on and forget? Do you think what they are doing is the right thing? Do you think that we need to let them continue oppressing us? Let me know what you think. Let me also play another clip where this radio station is interviewing one of the English people. And he's against reparation. He's not happy. He's even stating that There's no way we can pay them because some of these countries, they are even richer than us. Some of these countries, they've got good life. Some of these countries have some of these countries have got what he's saying, we helped them to have democracy in their countries. So why are we going to do that? Because even their education system, even what you talk about, we've managed to educate them. We've managed to open businesses for them. So why do we need to compensate them? We need to move forward. There's no way. It's not necessary for us to do that. What do you think? Let's listen and listen carefully as you subscribe, like, comment, and share.
Shouldn't they actually be paying us? Because some of these Caribbean countries are very prosperous. They've done extremely well. And they did well because the British gave them the rule of law and democracy and capitalism. And this has been incredibly successful. The British Empire was an amazing force for good, for civilization, and for raising people's standards of living. So why should we have to pay for doing that? Surely we should be paid.
I think that's a very bold question to ask a strong black woman on your channel, Jacob. And I'll actually pose a question to you. Would you say that about Jews? So I'll just give the context. First and foremost, one could easily argue that the Jewish community, the Israeli Jews, benefited from the Holocaust. And Hitler. Allow me to finish. Let me bring it home, Jacob. Let me bring it home. They benefited from Holocaust and Hitler due to the fact that they were given the state of Israel. Their life expectancy improved, and last but not least, their GDP improved. Israel's GDP improved as a result of Germany giving reparations in 1952. So would you say on national TV about the Jews that they should be happy and should be thanking Hitler and the Holocaust, Amy and David, for what they have gone through because they have benefited in terms of money? I would argue that Amy and David, Jacob wouldn't say this about Jews, but he's saying it about black people. So let me know what you're saying.
Oh, wow. I don't know what to say. Watch this video from the beginning until the end. Let me know what you think as usual. Do you disagree or agree? Let me know. Do we need to move forward? I don't think so. Even if they are saying that, oh, why are you pointing fingers at us? We were not there. No, it's your great-grandfathers, mothers who were the slave masters. So why can't you give back what you are owing people? This is what people are saying. You might say that, oh no, we don't want our taxpayers' money to be used. But at the end of the day, there is evidence that most of that wealth was achieved because of slavery. The slave masters did a lot to our forefathers. Now we want that back. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Watch this video from the beginning until the end. Thank you very much to all my subscribers, both returning and new subscribers, for your love and support. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you abundantly. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Romantic songs, romantic songs, romantic songs are waving you, and the secret cry I know I know it's where and still between. Romantic songs away, baby. baby songs. I always love you. Always never reason why I see I've never been betrayed. Romantic songs away back when. Romantic songs away back when. Romantic seas like blue. Romantic songs. I know you feel it. I know you feel it. And what's before, if you